we don't need an introduction for this man. We could say that he is an NBA Hall of Famer. We could say that he's the most recognizable man in Dallas. We could say that he's Ron Burgundy after the cover story of our October issue of D Magazine. We're with Dirk Nowitzki. How are you, man?
Good. Thanks for having me out. Ron Burgundy, definitely it is.
The amount of people who had to ask us, I don't know if they were in your mentions too, of is this Dirk? Is this AI? Are you getting any Ron stuff on the street? Are you getting any AI stuff on the street? What's been going on?
For sure. When we collabed on that Insta post, I remember just looking at the first couple comments, and it was all this is fake, this is AI, and I think it's maybe the makeup, maybe it was the hairdo, maybe it was the mustache.
The mustache, I think.
Yeah, so people just did not think that I would go that far for D Magazine, but hey, we were all in. And it was great. But yeah, lots of people thought it was fake for sure.
It's proof that you like us. You know, it's proof who likes you. Dwayne Wade, man. Dwayne Wade had the big comment on the IG.
I saw that. That's funny. Yeah, he did say like good stuff or something like that.
I
right?
think this is good. Yeah.
This is good.
So I think we can say that we've reached world peace at this point.
We've reached it.
So you and I started doing this 6 months ago. And so at that time, a lot of the stuff at the forefront of your mind was, okay, how do I get into my routine when the show gets here? How do I prep? You know, how do I make sure I'm watching those cut-ups of the last 3 Hawks games before we get a Hawks game? Now we're a few weeks away from this deal. So is the process down where you are in terms of your prep and feeling ready for the show come later this month?
Not really yet. Not really yet. We still have a few weeks, but you know, we're going actually out there next week for some prep work, and we haven't even seen the studio yet. So I think the studio is supposed to open next week. We're going to have a little PR event. We have these cool LED floors where we can kind of draw plays and show some stuff. We need to learn how to work all that, how to, how does it even function? So there's a lot of stuff still to work out. For me, prepping-wise, nothing has changed really. I want to, if I know opening night, we have Boston, we have New York, we have LA, we have Minnesota. That week before, I'll probably go back and watch some of the last preseason games. Early preseason game, nobody plays, so I'll probably watch the last two preseason games and and get ready. But obviously, we have all the help. We have guys in the back that do all the research and obviously tell us some of the stats that I want to use in my analysis and like I said, cut up maybe some offensive, defensive stuff, maybe some go-to plays. So that's all the stuff that I have in mind. But we'll just, that's the fun thing about it. This is all brand new. This is brand new to them. They've never had NBA product. Obviously they just went through a year ago with the NFL and launched that. That was great, but obviously NBA is different. And so, I think we're going to grow. Nothing is going to be set in stone October 24th in our first show. I think there's going to be some mistakes made, and we're going to learn from and move on. And there's going to be segments that are not going to work, and we're going to replace. And so I think that's the cool part. We were able to give some input. We're able to grow with them with the show, and I'm sure I'm going to find my routine better as we get along, and what helps me, what's my best prep for it. And so everything is, it's just a work in progress still, and we'll see as it gets closer of how the show really looks.
Every time I've been involved with live TV, I've been amazed at just how many people it takes to make it look easy and to make it look slick. I know your early days on this, but is anything in this process, you've done obviously play-by-play and sat in on games, but just this is a whole different animal. This is a high-production studio show.
This is a different animal. So they flew us out in August to kind of have some meetings. The Thursday Night Football crew was there. They had some of the promo filmings and meetings. So we were hundreds and hundreds of people. Obviously the talent was there, but all the behind the cameras, behind the scenes guys and producers. I mean, we have 1 million producers, and it was super cool. It was super cool to kind of get the flow of it and how they want to do the show. And we had some HR meetings and stuff you can't say and can't do. And so that was super interesting. I haven't been part of a company, obviously, an organization.
They're worried about Blake more than you, just to
yeah,
make that
probably.
clear.
It was the whole thing was for Blake. No, it was super interesting. We're there for like 3 days in LA, and got the whole rundown of stuff and how things going to work. Some of the producers spoke, and I mean, I think they hired some great talent also behind the camera. So I'm looking forward to working with these guys, learning from these guys. A lot of guys, some guys were at ESPN, some of the guys were at TNT. So they got like a little bit of an all-star cast there behind the camera that's supposed to obviously help us look our best and come up with funky new stuff. I think they're going to introduce some of the AI stuff we already mentioned earlier in the segment. So with some cool statistics and cool stuff they can do there. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, Amazon is obviously a tech company, so they're gonna have
Push the envelope a little bit.
They're gonna have some features there that
Yeah.
nobody else has, and it's gonna be super cool. And looking forward to it.
We'll give you a little preseason broadcasting work. Give the people a taste of Dirk behind the desk here. What you've been doing a little media lately and talking about the Mavericks. The thing that stood out to you is, I think, something that stood out to a lot of people, just how deep this front court is. Right, backcourt a little less the case right now, especially with Kyrie out. And I was going back, I was thinking, you played on a team kind of like this. I'm thinking of that 03-04 team when you're at the 5 and both Antoine Walker's there and Anton Jameson's there, and then Bradley's behind you and Nahar's behind you, Danny Fortson's there.
Oh,
but the
wow.
backcourt was really...
You're going deep in the roster.
brother.
Love
We're like,
it.
look, we
Love
don't
it,
mess
love
around
it.
at Team Magazine. We're doing the research. You knew
see
this when I
that.
did the story. I'm doing my
Danny
research.
Fortsman, or that name.
Yeah,
Wow.
dude, he was an animal in the class.
He was sitting right next to me. He was something.
Yeah, we got Danny Fortson stories. I don't know if they're fit for the pod.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if they're
Yeah.
supposed to be going on here, but off camera. we
Off
can talk about it.
camera. But so the question I had though, right, because that was a team where you guys had so much up front, and then in the back it was kind of Steve and not a lot behind him. So it's one thing to say, okay, well, this Dallas team is so deep up front. It's another to be on the floor and to make an unbalanced but really talented team work. So how do you guys do that to where okay, this is our strength, but also a lot of us kind of have these overlapping strengths and maybe not so much on this other side of the floor? How do you make this a winning team?
Well, I think that you got to look at this story kind of two ways: before Kyrie and after Kyrie.
Yeah.
Once he gets back, he can make the whole backcourt thing work. He's obviously been in that position before, where he's had talented teammates, and he's a great floor general and floor leader, and he knows how to pick his spots. And so, I think that obviously for now the challenge is pre-Kyrie, and that's going to be a piece of work, I think. But as we all know, J. Kidd is not afraid to get outside the box at all. Has never been. I think it's going to be a little bit of by committee doing stuff. Maybe whoever gets the rebound will push up the ball. I think there's going to be some easy entrances into the offense where, whoever kind of brings up the ball, one pass triggers some other motions. Maybe one pass at a high post. They said they want to put AD a little bit of a Sabonis position, ball in the high post, maybe splits both sides, maybe splits coming in a dribble handoff, and just easy entrances into the offense or entries into the offense that kind of nobody has to think too much, nobody has to over dribble, nobody has to guide guys out there. So I think that's the way to do it. Keep the offense easy, keep it free flowing. Have Cooper handle it some, or put the guys in the positions. I think that's got to be one of his strengths is his all around game.
Yeah.
He can do it all. He can defend. He can rebound. He can bring the ball up. He's a good passer for his size. So you want to put the ball obviously in his hands and make some decisions. So I think it's going to be pre-Kyrie and post-Kyrie, and the pre-Kyrie is going to be the challenge. But I think, like I said, they're all talented enough, and D'Angelo Russell coming in, who's a good scorer, not a super good playmaker. So they want him obviously shooting the ball and not standing there dribbling too much, putting the guys in offense. So I think they just have to go do it by committee, and J. Kidd will find plays that work for the obviously the talent they have at the beginning, and we'll go from there. But if they stay, I'll still say it, if they stay healthy, they have a great team. They have a lot of depth. They should be able to be one of the best defensive teams that there are. They have athleticism. They have competitors. They have length on every position. They have athletes. So I think that should be a strength of theirs, starting right away. And offense, like I said, will they find stuff that works, and like it is with every team, you start off the first week, 2 weeks, you keep some plays that work, you scrap some that just don't work, and so that's always part of the beginning of the season too, finding stuff that works and what the players like, and you go from there.
Yeah, you mentioned the Cooper of it all, which of course is what a lot of people are going to be excited to see. Put yourself in J-Kid's mind for a minute. If you had this guy at your disposal, how do you balance Jason has said we want the ball in his hands. A lot of Summer League was really just kind of pushing him past his comfort zone in terms of what he's doing. How much do you say, let's try this out, let's get him out of his comfort zone, see what he can do, versus he's 18, he's a rookie, we got to make sure he's comfortable in the league first before I'm going too far outside the box?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both, I think. Maybe you start off a little slower, and then as he gets more comfortable with the speed and the athleticism of the guys in the league, maybe then you put a little more on his plate. Maybe you run, after a few weeks, now you handle it even more. Maybe now you can even bring up the ball. I think that's all stuff, obviously, they're going to work out with the coaching staff and talk to him on a daily basis. What do you feel? How's it working for you? Where do you need help with? I mean, like you mentioned, he's barely 18. So, yeah. I mean, that's the great thing with the coaching staff. You're there to support. You're there to talk to every day, and he's a gym rat anyway, so he's going to be in the gym a lot with the coaches, and they're just going to have to get the feedback and see what he's ready for. But yeah, I agree with if he brings the ball up all the time, they're going to put a smaller guy on. They're going to pressure him, and sometimes that's hard at 6'8", 6'9".
Like
You constantly turn, and you need to spin and spin and spin, and then you also get in the shot clock. By the time then the big guy sometimes brings the ball up, then you have 14 seconds to rush something. So I don't think that will be on the agenda in the first few weeks. I think it's going to be whoever's open, whoever has the tallest, the longest, slowest guy on him, they can bring up the ball, initiate easy offense, and to me, have him come like out of the corners on like a dribble handoff. Now he can make a decision. He's tall. He can lane, finish over. He can lob pass to any of his threats. He can hook pass it out to the shooter. Or run some regular side screen and roll, high screen and rolls. But I don't think him be bringing up the ball and fighting somebody smaller to get the guys in the offense. But for him to catch the ball on the run, on the move, and not stand there and hold the ball too long, I think that's his way to success early on.
I know the obvious reasons and the reasons you've given for wanting to do this. And tell me if I'm applying too much personal story or overreading, just knowing your history and stuff like that. But I think there's another reason in there that, you haven't quite spoken on yet. And it's that the culture around basketball and the media and the coverage of it for a long time has just been like, who's getting traded? Who's leaving this team? This guy's awful. The talk around basketball is like so rarely about the sport and the game and the positivity of the players, the teams, the success that happens. It's like, you can sim through a season, and I feel like half the NBA fans don't even care about how great the Pacers were last season. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We just fast forward through that. And this is, I say, tell me if I'm overstepping, because this is the reason I got into this business, is I didn't like the media ecosystem around the Mavs. I thought no one's speaking positively. No one's actually covering the games. It's all just kind of, not to name names or anything, but it's just like, I didn't like the way the coverage was.
Yeah.
And I see you getting into this almost like it's an obligation to be the voice of, let's actually talk about basketball and be positive about it and get into these theories and these themes of the game that everyone's fast forwarding by just trying to make headlines. Tell me if I'm reading too much.
Yeah, no, for sure. You're pretty spot on. I feel like the coverage has been pretty negative around the game. Guys on TV are too, at times, even make it personal. And I just think we actually need to highlight this game. We need to tell stories how hard it is what these guys are doing. And, everybody's so skilled these days. And it's just been ridiculed a little bit too much, been made fun of. And so we want to tell some great stories that are out there that are obviously waiting to be told. So looking forward to that, and just sharing some of the knowledge to make these guys actually look good and tell how hard it is to get in at 3 a.m. and play on the back-to-back the next night and not just being too negative on the guys. So I think we can get a lot of background info out there, and we'll see how it goes. And I think Blake and Steve and we've all played, and I think we can tell some cool stories there that some guys might not have heard. And what does drive me crazy is also the whole trade rumors, and that's always the thing people want to talk about.
It's like its own sport at this point.
Yeah, it's just too much. But that's a lot of what's being written and what's being read, and unfortunately, I don't think we can change that. But we definitely want to analyze the game and put the game in a great light, in a positive light.
Here's my one sappy question. You're a little bit separated from your playing career at this point. You've probably had some time to look back on it here and there, but do you understand like the impact you had on people? And like I was telling him, like outside of my family, like, and people that I like have known for decades and decades, like I feel like I've learned more from you about how to treat people and how to like be a man and stuff like that. So I don't know if I guess the question is like, why do you think you had that impression on people?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I mean, I came here as a young kid, and I didn't really know what to expect. And for me, just to grow up in the city and grow, as part of this community has been an amazing journey for me. And I think as far as treating people, I just followed actually in my parents' footsteps, the way I was raised. Not take yourself too seriously. I got that from my dad. Don't think you're anything special just because you put a ball in the hoop a little bit. You're still part of the society, and you want to be obviously a contributor to make people's lives better if you're fortunate enough that the way I was. And so it was just trying to be myself and always have fun with people and just really enjoy my time and not see my whole thing as work. I wanted to have, I was in a lucky position to make my hobby and my passion into work. I mean, not a lot of guys obviously get to say that and make a good living at that. So why not have fun? Why not be happy and enjoy it and make the most out of it? And I had some good mentors early with Steve and Mike Finley. I mentioned them all the time because they really did help me a lot at the beginning. How do you talk to the media? And besides, Utah's a bad city. That was a bad example you started the article off with. But how do you an autograph session? How do they approach? How do they? It's just because I was so new. I didn't know how to do anything. My language wasn't great, and so these guys are credited a lot because they both had their foundations. They took the community work serious, and so I did learn a ton from them. And they're both good people with great big hearts, and so they were good mentors of mine. And I stole a lot of their stuff and kind of watched them and their routines, and so. And that's, I guess, how I was molded and I grew, and I'm just glad that I was able to be part of this community for so long, and we grew kind of together, and guys rooting for me at the beginning, and that meant a lot to me, and obviously that's where all some of the loyalty from Mark and myself came from, because I was kind of felt a lot of love from this community. So it's been a great story, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah, there's like a little collection of us that consider ourselves like disciples of Dirk in some way, right? Of like learning how to overcome failure, learning how to treat people, what's more important than that? You know what I mean? Like I don't want to put too much weight on it, but there are people in my family that I learned that from, but there's also like, you're the closest thing to a male role model that we had at that time, right?
Oh, that's so sweet.
So,
thank you.
Anyway, I want to say thanks.
Thank you.
Now we can get to some funny stuff.
Let's do it.
So, last game of your career in San Antonio, getting on the bus. I remember Casey gets on and is handing out all stat beers, and you're walking in with that guy with Scooter, and everybody starts chanting "one more year." Can you tell the story of that?
Yeah, the one more year started, I never actually said that I was going to retire. And then, there was a bunch of rumors after the All-Star break already, and guys were giving me standing ovations. And so it was kind of known without being known that I was going to call it quits, but I never had it announced it. And so I think, fans around here were starting to feel that it was closer to the end. So some of these chants, one more year, I was hearing a lot, but I knew in my head it was just not going to happen. The foot was just it was just too much to overcome at times. It wasn't fun anymore to go. I couldn't practice anymore the last few months. I mean, I was just laying there getting treatment, maybe lifting a bit, maybe getting a few shots up, but it was getting too much. So it was obviously cool to get that response and one more year. But I just mentally, I think I could have done one more season. Just being there for the young guys. We got Luka, things were looking up, but just physically, it was just too much and just not worth all the hours and that I was putting in just to get ready for games. So it was cool. I mean, I look back at the last few months weeks with a smile on my face, without announcing it, the way just this, fan fest sort of just developed organically. I think that's what was the coolest and I was the proudest of, that wherever I got subbed in. Obviously, I came off the bench that year at the end, and every time I subbed in, even on the road, I got a standing ovations. And
The Doc Rivers thing.
Mm-hmm.
the Doc Rivers thing, I remember in Boston, was incredible. Boston, I needed one basket to break the all-time record for an opposing player's scoring. And they wanted me to get that basket so bad, and I just kept shooting, and that was horrific. And I think I at the end of the game I was like 0 for 10 or 0 for 11 or something, and I didn't get it. So I didn't break Kobe's record on the road record. So, but just the incredible response from fans that. I remember the Garden. Actually, I did make some shots in New York that year, and just every basket people were cheering. So those last few weeks and months, I'll definitely never forget. And then, of course, that whole last week, where obviously you were there with the last home game, which to me should have been the last game, period. But the NBA messed that up. Yeah, the NBA messed that up a little bit. So it's super hard after that last game and that ceremony and me speaking to kind of step on the court the next day. Obviously, I didn't sleep till like 3 or 4 a.m. that night, and I was so excited. I was scrolling on social media, and so that was really hard to play the next night. But made the best out of it, and obviously the tribute that the Spurs did for me with Coach Pop was been obviously the GOAT of coaches, and the respect that he showed.
Being a good friend, making sure his players sagging off you to make some shots.
Yeah, the last one. He actually, what kind of annoyed me, he trapped me a little bit on some of the switches. So he didn't want me to score too much, but the last basket he wanted me to score. But it was, that, like I said, the whole last few weeks and months were incredible, and yeah, I wouldn't have imagined being this great, and it was definitely something I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of positive going on that year, to be honest. On the other side, it was like, we know Luka's pretty good.
Yeah,
we got a problem with too many ball handlers. Like it was just like such an influx time, and then everyone would be like, okay, Dirk will be back in a couple months. It'll be okay. We'll have something positive, some positive momentum, and I'll never forget those last games and that last home game. As long as I live. That was just special, man.
That's cool.
Yep.
So what happened on the bus, though? Hang on, we didn't get what happened on the bus.
Yeah, I was just, the pressure was off. The pressure was finally off. Of course, I was anxious for the last couple of weeks and months. How is it going to work out? Am I ever? Because the ankle was pretty bad, and I had an inflamed tendon. So, and then I couldn't do anything for a few months. And then try to work your way back in the middle of the season at age 40 was the hardest thing. And I probably came back a little too soon. I couldn't even play 5 minutes straight, and then it took me by the time I actually started feeling good was actually after the All-Star break. I was finally getting a little bit of rhythm. Before then, it was just a fight. So But I was just happy it was over there, and we had laughs and beers, and I don't know, did I have ice cream on the bus already? I was just looking forward to just, unwinding and enjoying and having some beers with the fellas on the bus. And then when we came home and we landed in the plane, they did the whole spraying the water with the fire trucks if a pilot's retiring. So just awesome memories all the way around, and for me mentally it was just like it's done. You've made it, and now it's time to enjoy.
Yeah. So that's the sport you played then. You're a tennis man now. I feel like you are as good a person to ask as anybody this question. How do we make Dallas a tennis destination? What do we got to do to get this going? Because he and I are tennis people too. So
yeah.
You got the whole fundraiser around it. You're, I think, Dallas's best known non-professional tennis player. What's got to happen here?
Yeah, so it was huge, I guess, in the 80s there when I used to
Yeah.
have the game at SMU. This was a little bit before my time, but I think they're starting to slowly grow it again with the Dallas Open, which now they moved to the Star. It became a 500 tournament, and so it's already growing in the right direction. I'm not quite sure how they did. I went a couple times. I hope they did okay last year there in February. So just keep growing that. I think it's a good time in the schedule where obviously, their schedule is nuts. They play all year round.
Yeah.
They have maybe a month off somewhere in November, December, and then they already have to train again for Aussie Open. So to find a spot there where they can actually play is super hard. So I think that's a decent time there in February, and yeah, just keep growing that. I mean, we had some of the best U.S. players. We had Root come in last year, who was top 10 in the world at the time. So, yeah, I think that's the tournament to go for. And, we have a few professionals that live here. And so I think it's a great market. You can play pretty much, not all year round. It does get chilly a little bit, but there's a good spot to train and live. And so I think that's the only way to do it. Keep pushing that Dallas 500, the Open, and be fun.
Their schedule is too much. I went to the U.S. Open and it was like just weird stuff was happening, and I was like, oh, that guy's burnt out.
Yeah,
I
think they just kept adding events over the years, and then the guys play, to make money. Really, in that sport, what's crazy is only the top 50 make money. The rest is struggling to make ends meet, and so they talk about it all the time. They want to change some stuff. They want more revenue sharing, and so that sport still has a lot of issues to go through. It's not like if you make it to the NBA, you're making good. All the 300 players, how many we have now, make decent money, and it's just not the case in the tennis world. And then they have to go to this challenger in Asia, and then the next week you play a challenger in Europe, and it's hard. It's a grind. I have a few friends that are on the Challenger Tour. It is so hard. It is so hard. So I feel bad for some of these guys that are on such a great level in place, still top 200-300 in the world, and just, you get to these challengers, you live at this family's house because you can't afford a hotel, and they put you up, which is super nice from these hotels that they offer that, but these are grown men, 28, 29 years old, living with a guest family and trying to play a challenge at the highest level. So they got to work out a lot of stuff in that sport. But I'm always be a fan. That was the first game I played. I learned it when I was like 4 or 5 years old. I always stayed around the sport, and they have some stuff to work out in the next few years.
So you're coaching your son now, or at least instructing him a little bit on the basketball court. I've got a friend that has a kid around that age, and no disrespect, none of them are trying to be Dirk. They're all trying to be Steph Curry.
Okay.
They're all trying to shoot from half court.
Yeah.
They're all trying to break your ankles on a step back, right? Yeah. So how does Dirk, convey this is how you get it done to a 10, 11, 12, 13, down the road?
Yeah, good question. I sort of stayed away from the whole youth basketball here and this whole AAU circuit and all that. But I figured once my kids are old enough and they want to start, that's my kind of segue into this whole mess. It's been interesting. Just to been around a little bit of it now for just a few months, but I mean, my approach is always what Holger did to me. You have to work on the skill level every day. You know, you don't start with go to the gym and start with the step back 3. You know, you work on your handles. You do, 5-10 minutes of handles, then you do some layups. You work on your left hand. We work on a little bit of passing. Then you work on, one dribble up, 2 dribbles layup, both sides, up and under. You work on your skill level every day, and then at some point that's so routine. Then you can go into other stuff, and then you can shoot some step back 3s. But to me, at age 10, it's not a time to shoot a step back 3. It's about working on the game, on your skill level on a daily basis, and you grow from there. So I do understand. Obviously, Steph has changed the game in a tremendous way. Now everybody, already in high school can shoot from everywhere and crazy handles. And to me, we have to teach a little bit also how to play the game the right way and not make a move off of 15 bounces, make a move off the catch, or play off your teammates. I think, pick and roll is a big part. Passing game. Don't pass and stand there, and then you wait when the ball comes back. Now you go back in learn how to play the game the right way. Pass, cut, move, replace, screen away, bring somebody else up. I think that's some of the ways that we were taught in Europe. It's passing game. It's learn how to play off each other, and I think we need to go back to some of that. And I think that's why some of the Europeans that come over are picking up the system pretty quick, and they can pass. They're usually pretty skilled all around, and they can play multiple positions. And I think that's what we need to go back to. It's just not. Lots of people are very skilled once they have the ball, but how do we get them to play with a high IQ, read the game, play off each other? I think that's something that has gotten lost a little bit in all the individual skills that are amazing to watch. But even if you watch Steph Curry, he's got all his skill level. He can shoot from everywhere, but he's still a great team player and passes and gets his guy, then hands it off, comes back, goes get it. Constantly moving. And so I think that's what gets lost a little bit. Just people just getting the ball and thinking, now it's my time to shine, and now I take 15 dribbles and shoot a step back. That's just not, to me, that's not basketball.
Mm-hmm. And don't play in Crocs.
Yeah.
That's my number one note.
Crocs.
All the kids are out there in Crocs. I'm like, you're going to get so hurt.
It's not exactly ripe for ankle support.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think they should be playing Crocs.
Are you cool if we wrap up with some rapid fire questions?
Yeah, whatever you want.
Yeah, you want to start off?
Let's do it.
Right.
You've had a lot of them. Best game winner of your career?
Great question. You talking about at the buzzer or just the go-ahead basket that's still?
However you want to define it.
Well, a game winner to me is the last basket. It doesn't have to be right at the buzzer.
Okay.
It'll probably have to be Game 4 of the finals when I drove right against Haslam, because he played my left. Everybody knows I went left 90% of the time, and so he was really taking the left away. And I just, that was the sick game a little bit, my flu game, if you want.
Yeah.
And so just had to muster up that energy to rip through and go right and get that go-ahead basket. And
how many broadcasts until you remind him of that on Amazon this year?
Yeah, I'm going to bring that up a little bit to take right. Actually, I got to know a little bit UD now, obviously in the meetings in August there. We were there together 3-4 days, and super nice guy. I think he's great on TV. He's precise. He's got strong opinions. I think we're going to play great off each other. But I'm gonna tell him I ripped through right on him and got to the basket. So that's for sure be brought up. But that's because that's to me one of the biggest wins. Obviously, if we lose that game and we go down 3-1, it's pretty much over. We needed that win to go to 2-2, and then obviously started rolling from there. So there's plenty of others. I remember great stuff, but that was probably one of the most important one to get our championship.
You sit down at your favorite Tex-Mex restaurant. What's your order?
I'm a big fajitas guy. Fajita grilled
steak or chicken or all of it?
Probably chicken, maybe mix.
Okay.
little bell peppers, little onions in there. I like spicy food, so some nice little hot salsa can get me anytime. But I love Mexican food. Obviously, Tex-Mex here is amazing. It's not the most healthy thing ever, but
You're retired. You're fine.
yeah, exactly. So some chips and some queso and some guac. You can't go wrong.
Love it.
Funniest teammate?
I mean, I've had some great teammates. Jet is definitely up there. Underrated is probably Brian Cardinal. I talk about him all the time, the custodian. I mean, he was just such a dry, awesome sense of humor. That he was amazing. And, you know, I always tell that story in Game 6 of the finals when I could get nothing going. I think I was 1 for 12, and I come in, and I'm so frustrated. I'm like, I can't get anything going. And he is standing like this, yes, and I'm just pumping both fists, and I'm so pissed. I was like, what? He's like, you got all your misses out of the way, finally. And so he kind of made me smile, and it's just the way that he is. He is underrated, super, super funny, and the stuff he comes up with. But there's some crazy. I mean, Chandler Parsons, speaking of a crazy guy, that most of the stories cannot be repeated again on camera. But this kid has absolutely no filter. Some of the stuff that comes in his mind is absolutely wild. So we've had some, you know, of course, if you had almost 200 teammates over the 21 years,
it's a big list.
There's lots of crazy ones, but. Always try to have fun, you know. I always try to have fun with my teammates and enjoy them and make them comfortable, and to have a good atmosphere in the locker room was always big for me.
When you came over, first American rap album that you bought, or that you just like kind of glommed onto?
I think when I first got here, one of the hot things was Outkast was still super hot back then, and. I don't know what the album was called, but I think that the Back of the Bus one.
Okay, yeah.
B.O.B.
Back of the Bus.
Aquemini or Stankonia?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. But that song, I mean, you heard everywhere. And yeah, it was like the late 90s, early 2000s, I guess. There was a great time obviously for rap, but the Outkast one I do remember.
Favorite Mavs jersey?
Oof, I love some of the blues, but I think my all-time favorite is the retro green. I just, obviously when I got here, doing some research and watching some Brad Davis, Roe Blackman, that era with Derek Harper, and then the green looked amazing. And so I always loved the retro nights with the greens, and we have obviously a few versions of the green, but that just reminded me of when the franchise was started there in the 80s, and that was super cool. But loved some of the royal blue, loved some of the lighter blues that we added later. There was only a few that I didn't love, and obviously that was the silverish that turned into
trash bag,
that turned into gray that we never brought back.
I own one of those.
You do?
I have a Dirk and a Finley trash bag jersey.
Wasn't that that was the P. Diddy version? Was it somebody designed that, or
I don't remember who designed it. He definitely did some jerseys.
He did some jerseys.
The curly
I
Q
remember.
Mavs.
And then they had the Mavs fans for life thing that they ripped. Probably, given the weekend's news, probably best to put that chapter far.
We don't know him. We don't know him. Yeah.
But also, it didn't help that we looked bad in that game. And,
Yeah.
you know, if we would have won the game, maybe people were like, they're not that bad. But we got housed in L.A., and once we were done, when you're sweating, it turned from silver to like a dark, and it was just nothing worked about that jersey.
Yeah.
Other than that, I love some of the stuff that we have.
No. A sound that will immediately take you back to a time and place.
Well, you know, like everybody, if you hear certain songs that puts you in a certain mindset or a time of the, you know, if I hear a 90s song, I'll think, you know, growing up and what I was doing at the time. So that's pretty normal. You have stuff or music combined with certain things in your life. But other than that, I think I love the sound of the swish. I mean, that's just, I'm Swish 41, and if I hear a great swish, it just reminds me of the hours, I think, of practice that I've worked with Holger on perfecting that shot, which was, Which was at times a lot. It was at times a lot, but what Holger did for me, and so kind of the swish kind of sums up what we always try to do, and working on my shots since I was like 15 years old. So those are cool memories.
Favorite playoff series win that is not the NBA Finals?
Probably 06. I mean, it's an easy one against the Spurs. Yeah. Maybe even the greatest series that I've ever played and been a part of. It was just so fun to beat them in their home court in Game 7, and the way that went down, we were up 20-something the first half. They came all the way back, take the lead, and so that was an incredible series of two, heavyweight teams and fighting, and that was an incredible win. So I'll always remember that series. Probably be one of the best series I ever played, and that the Mavs been a part of.
If all your friends are coming over for dinner and you have to cook, what are you making?
I'm really good at making pasta, and then
no
sauce. No sauce. I put a little butter on it.
Okay, nice.
Put a little salt on the table, and have the old plain pasta with butter and salt. I think other than that, maybe I could fix some eggs, some scrambled eggs. I'll be able to make. But man, I was just. My mom always take care of me growing up, and she still, when I come home now, she's over 80, and she still, when I come home, fixes all the good stuff. And I was just home last week for the court dedication, and she makes schnitzel and all sorts of stews. And so, yeah, growing up, it was just never on my radar to actually learn. My sister obviously learned a bit from her, but I never spent much time in the kitchen. Mama took care of everything. So, that was probably when I first moved here. I was so clueless, so I was struggling a bit. It was a lot of eatsies and other
Kubies?
stuff.
Was there some Kubies?
Less Kubies at the beginning, but lots of eatsies, lots of, because back then we didn't have any catered food after games.
Right.
That was all still new.
Well, I remember you bringing it up when we were talking for the story, and you pointed out, you're like, look, everybody loves those loon photos, but it's just because we needed somewhere to eat after 10 o'clock, man. That's why we're there.
Literally, we found that spot because we used to live right there on Lemon there, Lemon and Cole and that area there where West Village wasn't even there yet.
Yeah.
And so we just always walked across the street. There was no restaurant open at 10 p.m. on a Monday, and they had killer sandwiches. They were so good. So we just found that, and then the loon kind of grew from there. But I always had to go out and eat since my cooking skills were non-existent.
Tougher guard, Duncan or KG?
I mean, that's tough. The good thing is they usually guarded me on one end, but I never had to guard them. As we know, defense was not my strong suit, so we would have our centers usually guard them, whether early on when we had that famous series against KG in Minnesota, it was usually LaFrentz or Bradley or whoever guard KG, and then he has to guard me on the other side, and same with Timmy. I mean, Timmy was too big and strong for me with all his moves, and where he really got you most of the time was offensive rebounding. He's so low, and he was so great on the glass. So I was not much of a match for either one on the defensive end. To me, probably Timmy is the greatest power forward ever. Just his all-around game, his defense, his leadership, his scoring. But it's hard. But they're both incredible. KG, a little more of turnaround jumpers. Timmy, a little bit running, a little more hooks and stuff. But both some of the best players we had in our game.
Who does the prettiest Dirk fadeaway right now?
Well, it's a KD. I mean, that's actually how the shot's supposed to look. If you have touch and athleticism, for me, sometimes a little bit I can barely get up, but he's so long, but he makes it look effortless. And I love that he's made the shot obviously part of his routine, and he thinks it's a good shot to get off in tight situations, and really love watching him play. Always have. Always been a KD fan. I mean, he was sort of like the first almost 7-footer to move like a 2 guard, and he's got the handles. He can get a shot up any time of the game. It's just he's been incredible to follow and watch, and so he makes the shot look super easy.
I'm not going to steal your next question, so I'll let you have that
No,
one.
good.
Basketball superpower you wish you had?
I'd love to have a little bit of athleticism. I mean, I wasn't. I guess
some, you dunked. You got up there.
no,
Come on
I
now.
had a decent, obviously hops when I first got in the league, but that went away pretty quick. I would love to feel how it is when you jump like. Yeah, if you have a 40-inch vert with my jump shot, I would have loved to just jump up and hang in the air for like 2 or 3 seconds, like MJ did on some of these game winners, where the guy he lets it fly by. I would have loved to feel how that feels with my length, with my jump shots, and to get up like that and have hops like that. Or Vince, jumping over a 7-footer in the Olympics. That must be incredible. Other than that, skills-wise, I worked on everything my whole career, and I try to be as complete of an offensive player as possible. But sometimes athleticism was lacking a bit.
I thought for sure you were going to say dunk like Sean Kemp, because that's our guy.
Yeah, I love Sean Kemp.
Kemp's the best, dude.
Yeah, he was the best.
Top 3 countries to go on a family vacation.
Oof, that's tough. Loved Australia and New Zealand a couple of years ago. Took the kids over there for a few weeks. That was an incredible trip. Memories for a lifetime. So that's, I don't know if that counts as 1 or 2. But
We'll count it as 2. We did New Zealand for our honeymoon. Did South Island,
yeah,
dude.
amazing.
Absolutely
Just
insane.
outdoorsy.
Yes. Like in a
incredible.
rainforest in the middle of the
Yeah.
island, and then the bottom it was like cold. Like they just
Yeah.
have the climates going
Yeah,
on.
it
Dude, it's
was
fantastic.
super cool, fantastic. All the outdoor stuff you can do. And in Australia was amazing with Sydney, obviously in Melbourne, and the Great Barrier Reef and snorkeling. That was incredible. So, okay, we'll count those as 2. What else did we do that was super cool, like in retirement? Obviously we love Europe. Everything is super close. We're always in Europe in the summers. Can't go wrong there. Paris, London, some of the main cities, Berlin. But what did we do? Oh, we did Sri Lanka last year. That was super cool. And of course, my wife is half Kenyan, so we do go to Kenya a lot, and we do some safaris that are always incredible for the kids. So, yeah, let's say safari is a third. That's just something, that 1 year, last year, 2 years ago, we went to Masai Mara, which is the big park there in the middle of Kenya, and we saw a cheetah kill right in front of us, which was the coolest thing I'd have ever seen. This mom with 2 kids. And the mom just decided it was time to eat. And we're just following for like 30 minutes, and all of a sudden she goes and gets
The
this.
cheetah killed something, not the cheetah getting killed.
Yeah, no, the cheetah killed.
Yeah.
The cheetah killed. To see her in action, how fast. And that was incredible. So, safaris are tough to be with kids for sure.
Last one for you, because you've been awesome with your time. Fill in the blank. The Mavericks will win the NBA title this year if...
Ooh.
People need optimism, Dirk. The people want to get excited.
Honestly, if they stay healthy and then play their best basketball, and if it matters. But I always said this team is super loaded, is super deep. They got a lot of weapons, but health is a big concern for, with Kyrie, with AD, with Lively, and Cooper is so young. And so if they're all healthy, I think they can be there at the end.
He's Dirk Nowitzki. Read all about him in October issue of D Magazine.
Dirk Magazine.
Dirk Magazine.
that too.
It's a takeover. It's Dirk Magazine. And watch him on Amazon October 24th, first one.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you,
so
bud.
fun.
Thank you.